Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations on Data. I'm your host, Avish Mandopati. I'm delighted to have with me today Sunmeet, who has been an ex-student of mine at IIM. At the moment, he's working as a product manager with Publicis Sapient, and he's from the 2021-2022 batch of Business Leadership Program at IIM, where I taught him analytics. Sunmeet has won multiple awards as a student. He won the Day to Compete Awards for one of the most competitive leaders in 2022. His team was also the national winner for the Amazon Smart Challenge in 2021. And he was also selected as one of Inside IIM's 50 most employable MBA graduates. I'm delighted to have him with me today. And we're going to talk about a number of different things, including the importance of BSchool competitions and the correct way to approach. Hi, Sunmeet. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Avi sir. Thank you so much for having me, Avi sir.
It's my pleasure. Okay, so let us jump into it right away. There are a bunch of different questions that I want to ask you. Um, Obviously, at several points, you might like to share your own experiences. Keep in mind that my listeners are typically B school students from a wide spectrum of colleges. So, of course, I teach at the top B schools, but the audience comes from, let's say, a 0 to a 250 rank of B schools as well, right? So, whatever you feel can be of importance to them, especially to the first years who are still very early in their life cycle and have a lot of ideas in their mind and might need some clarity. It would be fantastic if you can share your experiences with them, right? Okay, so to begin with, perfect. So to begin with, tell us about yourself, your background, what did you do in your graduation, and about your MBA.
Sure. I'll start off from the starting. I well, recently going back where I'll start off from where we met and how the journey started off. So I'm a very recent MBA graduate of IIM Koigod. It's a new program called PGPBL Postgraduate Program for Business Leadership. Second batch, very new. I'm Koigod is crafting a new business leaders out of that program. Interestingly, MBA happened for me in middle of the pandemic, but MBA was always on charter from last 5, 6, 7 odd years when I was an engineering student. I did my engineering back in 2015, 2016 from Indraprastha University, Delhi. But I come from a family business background. My father is a first generation entrepreneur. My younger brother has already joined business. So the business instinct is already there. We have dinner table conversations all around business and everything around business happening in economy. So the business was already there, but I always wanted to explore new things, try out new things. And so my journey started off with internships. So internships were pretty new back then. The internet economy in India was coming up, and Flipkart was one of the new startups. And there was not much like penetration of internet, but something around was happening. So I tried exploring internships across different domains, more from marketing to technology to product to management and even sales. I tried out my hand with startups, with brands like OLX, Adidas, PepsiCo, got a very varied set of experiences doing that internships. Ended up doing 20 odd internships, including the virtual one and the in-office ones. Those internships led me to learn completely new set of how businesses work, how management drives the business, and how to explore that sort of domain as such. Post my engineering, I got opportunity as a software engineer since I was a computer engineer. So I got campus placed at Infosys and Ericsson. But my family was like that. Why you have already a good business? Why do you want to move out of Delhi and explore that set of the journey? So I was like, okay, I'll take a role based out of Delhi and Gurgaon. So, but at least do explore. Let me explore. So I joined a startup called Urban Clap. Now it is an urban company. Urban Club was a pretty nascent startup back then. Only Ratan Tata had funded them. Small team, but a lot of alpha male team was actually doing a lot of work. I joined business team I did that for about 9 months. We used to do category management, acquisition, partner onboarding. A lot of things were happening in that startup, and pretty new, fascinating journey for me how to build business from scratch. Then something new, interesting happened. So there was an technology competition called Bug Bash, which is pretty common in a lot of companies. So there was an internal Bug Bash competition that you as an employee have to find out bugs so that the customer we have gets a superlative experience across applications which are there on Android and iOS and also on website. So I incidentally won that competition because I was coming from computer science background. So, and then founders were like, why don't you move to technology team where that's where the action is happening. And I was also pretty much keen to explore. And then startups, you also know the movement is very pretty much fine to have it. So I moved to technology and product team. Did that for about 2 years or so. We used to ship out products almost like 2 products in a week, pretty fast cycle of building out products and cycling it and pushing it across the line. I was completely focused working on the Urban Class customer application, which is the one which users feel and use on a daily basis to push out the services and request the services for them. So new experience for me, how companies are built, how the startups are actually working in India, and how technology is driving them. Did that for about 2.5 years, like I mentioned. By then, Urban Clap had become Urban Company. They had moved to Singapore, Dubai, Australia, completely different experience we've seen from a startup to a unicorn. Very new, fascinating journey for me. Then that's when I realized that okay, I should move back to my dream of doing an MBA. And my father was also like, okay, you have did what you want to do. Why don't you join for a while and give me a piece of your mind through business? So I tried exploring my family business as well. We are to give a backdrop about our business. We are a wholesaler for automobile manufacturing equipments across the domain from cars to trucks to scooters as such. And we are based out of Delhi, Kashmiri Gate. My father was a first generation entrepreneur. He had set up the business, and now my father has also my younger brother has also joined him, and we import from China and we sell it to different cities across the India, particularly Ludhiana, Hyderabad, even Assam, northeast part of the countries. So pretty fairly doing good in that sphere. But like I mentioned, I always wanted to explore. So did that for about 8-9 months. With that, I was preparing for my MBA, and then suddenly pandemic happened. I was going to some other B school, and then this program came up. I applied for this program. Was fortunate to be a part of this program, and during the journey, I got about maybe 7-8 months prior to my MBA at the admission, and so again explored a completely different set of internship with Invest India. They are a autonomous body of Government of India, particularly working on a project called One District, One Product. And Invest India is the team which brought up Startup India, Make in India. So I was working focusedly with these ODOP team, One District, One Product team. A very new experience on research analysis and how strategy works, how the government funding gets explored on a district level. Very new, fascinating experience for me, and that's where my MBA journey after that started. Interestingly, we met in our term zero itself. A very new experience for me at my MBA. So if you see my journey, I did my schooling in Delhi. My college was in Delhi. Graduation was in Delhi. My work was in Delhi. And so it was a new experience for me from going from north of India to south of India and exploring that part of the world. So, but I was very just excited, and fortunately, it happened in that way. A very good journey for me. I was fortunate enough to be the face of the batch in form of students committee. Again, a very interesting experience how to like have a talk with different stakeholders, keep the verdict, have a in a way keep the batch intact, and making sure that everybody goes in the path which the administration and the students want to go. So new experience for me. And then case competitions happened, and case competitions again was a good highlight of my MBA experience. Credit goes to you as well. A very big, like helping us how to frame presentations, create a strategy around the presentation, how the story flow should work. So very new experience for me. We started off with college competitions created and organized by colleges. Like for example, IIT Delhi, I am Ahmedabad, I am Bangalore. They have their own college fests, and in which they have their own case competitions. So one of the major competitions was from with IIT Delhi, IIT Delhi strategy case competitions. I and two of my other friends, very close friends, Saurabh and Sarthak, they again were your students. We collaborated and teamed up and created that strategy case competitions deck, and we submitted it, and fortunately by presenting it, we won that. So we got the opportunity to do internship with Mahindra Racing UK office. So again, a very different experience working with them, with a sports team, sports company, and Mahindra Racing was working closely for the Formula E racing, which happens across the globe in different cities. And Mahindra is the only team, which Mahindra Racing is the only team which is actually working from the start till now. And they have that aura of Indian nationalism going across. So all the cars are painted with Indian flag, and we created a marketing strategy around to bring Formula E race in India, and how we can market it around. And fortunately, Formula E is actually coming to India next year in February in Hyderabad. So we are very happy that our project could actually do something around that. And then we stepped up. I particularly started tracking more case competitions on Dare to Compete, which is now Unstock. And I got the opportunity to participate in two major case competitions. One of them was Amazon Smart Challenge, and the second one was the Publicis Sapient product spotlight. So Amazon Smart Challenge was focused on marketing, advertisement, strategy, and 10,000 teams participating. One of the marquee events of case competitions across India. Each year it happens. So it was the first edition in which we participated, and we fortunately won that case competitions. So I'll share across the journey how my journey was in that case competition. And the second one was the Publicis Sapient product spotlight. Our team, the same team, which participated in the Amazon case competition, participated in this product spotlight case competition, and we got the opportunity to be national semi-finalist, and that eventually helped me to get a role at Publicis Sapient through campus placements. Now I'm a product manager at Publicis Sapient. And then campus placement happened, and I was one of the initial members of the batch to get placed at Publicis Sapient as a product manager. Product manager was one of the roles I was eyeing at, because I had done some kind of technology and product work at Urban Clap, my previous company, and now it's been like about 6 months at Publicis Sapient, going pretty well for me. Working with a multinational client, US based, a healthcare company, $40 billion company. They have their own manufacturing equipment across the globe. They sell it, and they have their own e-commerce platform. So building that e-commerce platform for them, and different free features are rolling out. Very new, different experience, because I had never worked with a client and a stakeholder management kind of a setup. How things flow, who will do what work, how the processes are. Because I was coming from a startup background, so everything has been unstructured in that way. So this is giving me structure out of my MBA. What I actually had learned, frameworks and everything. So being a part of the product management team is helping me put down what I had actually learned at my MBA. So good experience for me. So still looking forward what life has come for me.
Excellent. I want to talk a little bit about the importance of peer learning. You mentioned that you had team members with whom you participated in the competitions. One is, how important is it? And second is, what is the right way of going about it? It's very easy to say that identify a good team with you and work towards, becoming better and helping each other. But it's a different ballgame altogether, right? Because it's easier to manage yourself in your time. But when you're working in a group dynamic, then there are a different set of challenges that come up. I believe it's very important because it's literally going to give you a real life picture in terms of how a corporate life would look like. Because even in the corporate life, you're going to work with all sorts of people you like, people you don't like, people you still have to work with. somebody who is extremely skillful at one thing, but probably needs some help with another. So the point is that it's a very, very good experience for somebody, especially with zero work ex, to get a sense of how these group dynamics would work. So I would like to know from you what was the importance of the peer learning and what should be the right way a first year B school student should go about it to form a good peer group.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Completely, I agree, sir. Peer learning is very, very important, particularly in the aspect of management world. And if you are going through the journey of a B school graduate and trying to understand how business school can actually help me build my career, so peer learning and these days a lot of business schools are actually building on the peer learning aspect of the things. So if you see a lot of business schools and particularly 1 year MBA schools. And as well 1 year MBA programs. Also, the 2 year I feel get a lot of good opportunity to build the camaraderie between the peers. And there are group studies, there are assignments, there are case study submissions, and these all happen in a group environment, in a peer learning environment. So it's very, very important. What I personally feel, and I always suggest to my juniors as well, whoever comes across and asks me how to go about to build a team, how to identify the right individual, who do you want to make friends with. My personal experience, what I feel is, sir, you should give time at the first place. There are two ways to look about it. First is give time. Do not be very, very fastidious in trying to understand. Okay, this person is good at finance. This person is good at marketing. Let me team up with that guy or a person or that person or that girl. Will have some kind of leverage if I'm participating in a group study for my classes or my academics or for a case competition. It should not be in that way. We should rather focus on the bond which we can have, because I've always realized that even if you would have 4 stars in your team of a team members of 4, that team might fall flat if you do not have the bond which can take you to different hurdles. Giving you my example, my on the case competitions journey, this is a prime example which I can go back to my experience and actually share it with you. My One of my very good experience of case competitions was IIT Delhi case competition, like I mentioned, where we got the opportunity to win it and do Mahindra Racing. We all three were in a way were very good team players in that overall sense, but we also were stars in our own capacity. I had my team members, if I can take their names and share it with you. Saurabh and Sarthak were my team members. Saurabh was a very, very good in presentation, analyzing what strategy should be going in. Sarthak was very good in articulating things, the flow should look like, how should we speak it, and I was very high on energy. So we always felt that we are bonding really well. Probably if we would not have not bonded, if we would have been a good friends, this would have not come across how it has been. But on the other hand, when I was participating in the corporate case competition, which I gave you the example of Amazon competition and the Publicis Sapient, our team was we never were the stars. Nobody had confidence in us that this team can actually win corporate competitions or a case competition at any level. We though were doing good in academically and in the usual way of the B school life. We had a very good position of responsibility also at campus. But what stood for us and which actually made us apart in terms of the as a team was we the synergy in us was very, very high. And there was no ego as such. To give you a certain example, if somebody said, if I can take an example, let's say there were two members and we are still very good friends, Priyanka and Soumya. If Priyanka mentioned that, okay, I'm taking this particular piece and I'll be owning it completely end to end, and Soumya is mentioning that, okay, this is a piece which I will be feeling, which I will be taking and making it in a presentation or an analysis or a strategy, and I'm feeling okay, then nothing is left. Then I'm okay to do a very usual grunt work of just trying to contact people, managing the things, structuring the things so that life for them is easy. Maybe doing their assignments, maybe helping them with the other work. So no ego, first of all. You are learning, I am also learning. Everybody is in the learning phase, and for the peer college setup, peer learning setup, it's very important to keep yourself on the back spot and give the team the more importance as compared to your individual presence. That is very, very important. Second is what I feel is whenever you, like you mentioned, peer learning is why is important, like that I've already mentioned. But how you find friends, how you build that bonding between the friends is also important. If you see, the case competitions do not happen all year across the way. They start off, or maybe placement start off at the end of the business school journey, and similarly for the case competitions, and but group studies and case submissions academically go on all around the year. And these days, professor also very smart. They change the group each time for each subject, each class will change off. So you have to be okay trying out new people, giving your best in each case. You will definitely have freeloaders, and that is completely okay. But you have to give your best, and the bonds which you form during your business school, which will be a treasure which you will keep for life. And freeloaders are always they subconsciously you will remember the freeloaders, but you will always remember that this person was an individual who always gave the best. And even if the team was not working, even if the other people in the team were lacking off, that person stood up and trying to fill up the space. So building the team and making sure that you are giving preference to the team as compared to yourself is very important.
Right. Um, just the one observation on that. Now, you know, because most of you have work experience,
Correct.
I believe it was easier for you to understand working in a group dynamic, understand that there will be friction, and a good team has to be a functional team, needs to have some friction in it, right? If everything is very happy and hunky dory in the beginning, that is not a good sign, right? Because till
Correct.
the day everything is good, everybody is happy. The moment you face a wall and there is a challenge, then everything just breaks.
Correct. Correct.
Now,
Correct.
for somebody who does not have work experience, I have seen this with students that it's so much more difficult because they haven't really been in that atmosphere where they understand what working with other people looks like, right? So that is why they face a lot of challenges because the expectation setting is not clear. Either they expect too much or they expect too little,
Yeah.
right? So that right fit is very important. Now, the suggestion I always give them is to get some external help, which is to have a mentor. Now, that mentor could be anyone, right? Willing to take up those responsibilities. It could be a senior, maybe it could be a more senior person from your own batch. It could be a faculty or an outsider. But having that mentor is very important because you don't know what you don't know, right? And you guys with experience are still able to make mistakes and figure out where you made them and work on it. But for students who don't have work experience, they don't even realize that they're either making a mistake and how to fix it. So what would your thoughts be on that?
No, completely agree, sir. But I'd like to take a different stance here, sir. Personally, for me as well, even though I had experience, but I had my fair share of problems in dealing with people in my early start of MBA. Because, like I mentioned, it was a completely new setup for me. To be honest, when I was in my college, in my school, in my work, I had only met to be like to put it across, I'd only met a certain demographic of India. Let's say maybe we can call it North India, or maybe middle part of India, somewhere around west. And but I never met people from Bangalore, from Chennai, from somewhere around that. Even Madhya Pradesh or that or that belt area. But going on and working with those people, understanding their perspective, I had my own fair share of dealing how to deal with that. But I agree, sir. When you do not have an experience, be it in form of work or be it in form of dealing with people in college in different from different perspectives, different opinion, different classes of the economy, there is definitely a problem. One could be, yes, I could definitely share the mentor experience. There is that's a foolproof way of having a mentor And the best way to find a mentor is approaching your senior, because as a B school student, sir, it's really tough to find someone who has been at your place from the corporate world, and he's able to give time as well. So that is one of the criteria to look out for. But your immediate seniors are the one, because they have also faced this same situation an year back. They could have been at same environment, same situation, same kind of problem statements they are solving. So then they have some kind of fair share of experience, and they can obviously go about and go about that. My second idea would be, sir, for the people who do not have experience particularly, is completely take the way like it is coming, and take it in the form of learning, and do not keep a short-term trajectory for yourself. Keep a long-term trajectory. In a short term, maybe in 2 months, 3 months span, you would be facing some kind of problem with other people, but in a long-term span, it would be a learning experience for you. So this is the kind of hardship which the B school gives it to you. And these days, sir, the administration, the admissions, the curriculum, and the faculty put students in these situations particularly and intentionally, so that students come out of them and can give a very good experience when they graduate from B school. Or maybe, let's say, in a short term, even after 1 year, you see a transformational change in students when they are in first year of MBA to a second year of MBA. And particularly for us, it was 6 months and then 6 months. And I can easily map out my journey, how I started off and how I ended up. And it was a very humbling experience for me, which gave a lot of confidence. So I genuinely advise, or maybe I can suggest at my level, that having a mentor, at least, like you can never call a person like, okay, will you be my mentor? It's so formal in that way. But if you can make friends who are seniors to you, or maybe they have corporate experience, just chit chatting with them. Sometimes, sir, even I also see that students they know and they feel that they are going through the problem, but they're not open to share their understanding and what they are going through. So, and they're like, okay, let it pass. That is also okay, but learning from somebody's experience will help you go fast in that approach. Maybe you will be able to learn something new. You will through that learning experience of that person, you will create your own path, and that will again give you a different kind of a confidence. So having a mentor is very important, and also keeping a long term focus, that this is all I came in here for, and this will make me a good leader, and this is how I will learn new set of communication skills, new set of stakeholder management, how to deal with people, and this will make me and may help me shine post my MBA experience. So yeah, this is completely something I should always suggest. I would like to suggest to young students.
Right. In my experience, I've realized that identifying mentors, of course, seniority has a correlation with how good a mentor can be, but it's not a perfect correlation, right?
Correct.
One is because a lot of senior guys are not interested having mentees. The other is that even if they want to, they don't really have those set of skill sets that enable them to be approachable, to mentees.
True. True.
But typically, what I've seen is that you can spend 30 minutes having a conversation with person A. On the other hand, if you speak to that CXO or that senior person, they can give you such immaculate clarity in a 2-minute conversation.
Correct. Correct.
And I mean, in my consulting journey as a data analytics consultant, in the last 2-3 years, I almost work exclusively with CXOs. And I've started to see what the big fuss is about, right?
Yeah.
Because you just spend such little time with them and you get such utmost clarity. It's fantastic. And I think the ability of saying no is super important. And that is what you learn. When somebody senior tells you that it's okay to say no to something and focus on something else, that just gives you that validation that you require. Because a lot of time we are confused. Should we stop this work because we have already spent 15 hours on it? And that's okay. I tell my mentees all the time, it's okay. I do that all the time. I mean, especially as an entrepreneur, you spend so much time building on an idea and then you realize there's no weight in it. Either you want to pivot or you want to discard it because it's a sinking ship. if you keep on spending more money and man and power and energy into it, there's no point because it will keep on sinking, right? But
Yeah,
that
true,
takes a
sir.
lot of courage. And I think that courage initially comes from validation from the mentors, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, I agree to what you said. I think getting the right mentor is important. And the mentor could be anyone, it could
Yeah,
be literally somebody a year older to you as well. Because some people really have that skill, that they
yeah.
can instill some clarity in you. Okay, I want to change tracks a little bit. Since you're working as a product manager, um, should a regular B school student read a lot about product management, UI, UX, design, even if they are not going to enter that area? Because this is something where I also don't have a very clear answer. When students ask me, I'm very conflicted. Sometimes they say a yes, sometimes they say a no. Of course, I tell them that everybody, as an MBA, you're expected to know something about it. A
Yeah, yeah.
working
True,
understanding
sir.
has to be there. You can't say that I have no clue about what is digital marketing and what is analytics and what is product management, because at some point you will be working with teams, and at least you need to have a working understanding of what they are talking about, right?
Correct, correct.
But since you are in those pair of shoes, I'm an analyst, so I'm not the right person to answer it. But what do you feel? Do you feel that every MBA student should spend some bit of time, capturing the metrics and just getting a know-how of how product management works, or is it only for the people who intend to pursue a career in that area?
Sure, sir. Sir, I'll put it in three buckets on the overall level. First bucket would be that reading always helps. So and you as a it could be B school graduate, it could be engineering graduate. If you have some kind of knowledge, you will always be able to map out whatever you are doing from what you have already read. So and usually what happens is our mind works in a very fascinating way. When you are reading something, you will always map that thing to what you're currently doing. Usually, this is something, the cycle which our mind follows. But there are some points which actually store up and lock it up in some kind of place in our brain, where when you pick up that particular point, let's say even later on in your career, you will some will be able to find and map out those particular things that yeah, this is something I had already read. And but to be a product manager, sir, and if you do not want to go in product management and you are completely sure that, okay, yes, I don't want to go for product management, I would rather say that if you still read it, just the usual way, how products work, how consumer psychology work, what is the user's idea behind using a certain different application, that will help you understand some aspect of human behavior, which is, I think, helpful in across the spheres. It could be in sales, it could be in consulting, it could even be in finance in some aspect, but marketing and sales are completely spheres where you need to uh, deal with people, understand that that's how humans will actually take a certain kind of a decision. So particularly there are two kinds of books, sir. One could be like cracking a PM interview. There is a one like there's a book called Cracking a PM Interview, but few books are dedicatedly for cracking an interview or for product management. If you don't want to go for a product management, do not read it. Oh, that's fine. But do read books like maybe on design sense, design thinking, product sense. It could be hooked. It could be somewhere and around how design works, how products are built, how businesses are built, how technology companies built. Even though they are focused on building products, which but you still don't have an aspiration to go in product management, will help you somewhere down the line in understanding, like I mentioned, particularly consumer psychology and also how this sphere of the things work. Second is, sir, B school placements, sir, are somewhere in some sense are a game of luck, and everybody knows. You never know. You as a company would shortlist my CV or not. What will you see in my CV? What, and you, if you are not selecting my CV, I never knew why you did not, but you selected my friend's CV, even though I always felt my CV is better. So you never know. So you, as a student, as a B school student, will never have a full clarity where you will land up post your MBA. It could be in any city, it could be in any role. Somewhere, in in some sense, you can obviously structure your journey and focus around that. But there is always a blurry cloud you have to pass, and then the placements will happen for you. So I would always suggest that prepare at the general sense of the placements, and when the companies start coming in, it could be okay that you are drilling down, focusing on product management, on consulting, on marketing. But when you are starting off your preparation, read whatever you can, whatever interests you. You never know. You start off as consultant in a very good company. It could be MBB or it could be a tier 2 consulting. But post 2 years, you feel like I'm okay, done doing with consulting. I want to move to some other role. So at that point of time, you're learning at your B school what you had already done will be very, very helpful. So never fixate your career, because I think, sir, you would be a very good yourself an example how you started off your career and where it led to doing a teaching and education and the full-time role and helping students build up their career. So there is always a no short way that okay, if I'm going to be doing consulting, I'll be doing it for 20 or 40 odd years of my life. So always learning helps. And my third point is, sir, even if you are going for product management, so yeah, last night only I was reading a tweet by Banjot Singh. He's a product manager, ex-product manager at Booking.com, and an alum of ISB. So he was mentioning that even though books like Cracking the PM Interview, Hooked, Design Thinking, everything will give you a certain kind of a structure. But at the end of the day, how you do your things, it'll all be you. You might not know that you are never following the structure and frameworks which they are giving. It is just about getting shit done. So if you are able to do a certain kind of work in your way, company will be happy, you will be happy, and you will be able to see the impact which you are creating. It is just that you should have the communication skills, you should have the stakeholder management, like I mentioned earlier, also building a camaraderie with different teams, and how you're able to execute that effort. That is really, really important. So if you have that clarity and then that sense that okay, I will be able to execute, even though I do not have an experience, but my MBA journey has been really, really helpful. And the path I'm choosing, be it consulting, be it product management, or be it any other field, if you feel that okay, I rather than focusing on reading that particular stuff, I will be focusing on getting the part done, enhancing my communication skills, be it written, be it oral communication skills. If you are confident in that, that's fine. So, but I'll always suggest that going with preparation is much more than later realizing I should have prepared. So, reading always helps. Be it fiction, be it non-fiction, it always helps. So my underlined subjective would be that read whatever you can. It'll always help out.
Yeah, I think I agree to that 100%. Okay, I also want to talk about mistakes that B school students make. That's very important because we are trying to do too much too soon sometimes, and that's perfectly okay. I tell students typically that the regrets you have will mostly be of omission. You will regret the things that you don't do. Most of us will never regret the things that we did do. For example, if I felt that I should spend a lot of time reading a book, and then I feel that, oh, this is 15 hours that I could have saved and spent somewhere else, that's okay, because at that point you felt that this is the right thing to do. But it's usually the things that you did not do that is what you will end up regretting. I've taken this from Jeff Bezos' interview, where he always says that it's better to try, because he said that if he has a business idea, he would try it. And Amazon has had massive failures, but he said he only needs to succeed 1 out of 10 times, because unless you try, you will always have that regret that I wish I had tried and I don't know what would have happened if I had tried. But that said, it is foolish not to listen to those who come before us, right? So if seniors have been through a journey, it would be foolish not to hear from them, because there are some obvious things that can be avoided, some missteps that can be avoided. So what would those things be? While I like everyone to have their own journey, still, what are the obvious mistakes and the missteps that a B school student makes that you feel they should keep in mind?
Got it, sir. Sir, there are a lot of mistakes. Like everybody has their own journey, like you mentioned, and we make our fair share of mistakes and then we learn. But few of the prominent which I really want to suggest the students should not make, and should be particularly the biases which we have when we enter a certain business school. So there could be, sir, there are few set of students which are going in top business schools, like top IIMs, ISB, or maybe top business schools of the world, HBS, Oxford, and great Stanford and Wharton business schools. And then there are few business schools, maybe lying in somewhere around top 250 business schools, or from top 100 to top 200 people. So students going in that. So the earliest set would already have a bias. Okay, I've got a very good business school, and I can be somewhere relaxed in my journey and enjoy my life, my business school life. But on the other hand, there could be few students who are not going a not so great MBA school, particularly because it's like in the sense of rankings, and there are so many rankings coming up these days that they're not in a good business school. So they already create a bias. Oh, I'm not in a good business school. So they approach their things in business school with that mindset. Ki, if I do not try, I will be lacking something because I'm already not in a very good business school. Or there could be students, we can't do anything. We are already in a very not so okay business schools. So I would rather suggest that be it and you are a very good business school or you're not so big good business school, keep an open mindset. B school journey is always a learning experience for everyone. If you are there could be someone who was a graduation topper one in his or her school, his or her university. There could be a student like ISB has some students who are national players in sports, who could be from a very different experience. It could be lawyer, it could be fashion students, or it could be a military background person who will never would have experienced that a corporate experience, setup experience as such. Keep an open mindset and learn from them. Share your fair share of experiences. It could be not only professional. If you are coming from a fresher as a fresher to business school, you would have a fair share of personal experiences. Share it with them. We as students are usually these days very reluctant to share our personal experiences and derive a learning out of it. But these days is very important as a leader in a corporate setup or even in business school, where that you can draw empathy and have a very good communication skills in understanding the other person's behavior. And that aspect actually comes out from what we have learned as a personal, as an individual and for the personal side. So always I suggest them that keep an open mindset. Do not bias yourself, because there will always be an anchoring bias. Do not keep it in the way that okay, I am in this bucket, so I'm bubbled up in this particular bucket. Try to break that thing and come out and learn new things. Uh, to drill down more, sir, going about the mistakes which students also make is particularly focusing on their journey of the school. There you'll always find two kind of students. One would be, as they enter the business schools, they're already eyeing at placement or their summer internship. See that I have to go for this particular company and this role, and this is what I want to aim for. And this is really like it's largely seen the students who want to go for consulting because they want to keep their CV very tip top, like a very good short CV, very high academic score. But I certainly feel that in the journey of focusing on a certain to acquire a certain CV point or maybe a very good high pointer in academics, they miss out on a lot of other things which business school usually is offering. So, and that will not only make you a all-round individual, but it will also help you in your personal life. Doctor, like I review one book. And there was a piece I had mentioned by Dr. Caton Christensen. He was a professor at HBS. He had written a piece in his book. I'm forgetting the name of the book. He had mentioned in his book that he is a professor at HBS, and he had mentioned that I think the book is called "How Do You Measure Your Life." So he had mentioned that I've seen a lot of students coming up graduating from HBS and later coming back and telling me that now I've had divorce in my life, I'm not doing good in my life. My children have actually have actually left me alone. Even though I had a very good marquee corporate career, but my personal life is not in a good shape. So and he had derived and patterned that there are some kind of students, and you can never judge what student will land up where after 10 to 40 years. So I always suggest that keep an all-round perspective. never focus on one particular skill. You will always get what you want if you try for it, and you will have your own fair share of journey. But keep an open mind, like I mentioned. Try new different experiences. BSchool will offer you a very, very varied kind of experiences. I usually tell that BSchool is a buffet at offer. You can pick and choose whatever you want to have. And this is something which I always suggest. And the other set of students are, we'll see how placements go, how summer internships will happen. Let's enjoy. So they will never focus on case study submissions. They will never focus on project. They will never focus on academics. Maybe if they are having online classes, they'll switch off the video and go to sleep. So there are some kind of students also. So I always suggest them that keep a balance of fun and learning, because that is really important. There's always a monetary aspect of what you're going and doing in a business school, but there's always the opportunity cost which you are giving and surrendering yourself to. So keeping a balanced approach, not fixating yourself in certain kind of a bias that okay, I want to go ahead in this format. I'm in this college. I'll be easily be placed, or I'll not be able to be placed. An open mindset is very, very important. And I can genuinely tell you that if you keep an open mindset, the BSchool will offer you so many things, and it will be a very different experience, and you will come out a very different and a confident person post your MBA.
Excellent. So my final question is to circle back to the BSchool competitions. What would be your actionable points that you would like to share as far as competitions are concerned?
For competitions, sir, there are 2 to 3 pointers which I can tell. Particularly starting off with, sir, like we mentioned, I think we have already good deep dive we have discussed on the team. Uh, Form a very good team. Uh, Usually, the case competitions across the board are on strategy, and they are testing you on how you demonstrate what you're learning in your classes, and how will you apply that when a problem statement or a case is actually presented to you. So you should not require in your team that okay, I want a guy should be very good in finance or in very good in marketing, or in any other sense of the learning which you require or a skill which you require in your case. Go for opt for a person who you feel that you will be able to bond well. Because, sir, I always tell the students that there is no one approach to solve any case. There are 100 solutions out there. It is just that how you're approaching that case. And when you're solving a particular case in the competition, uh, 3 people in your team will have 3 different ways of solving a case, and there will be 10 more approaches to solve it. So, and you have to come up with only one solution. So, how will you make sure there should be very good bonding in the team, that you are not cutting the other person and then you're going about with the way that you feel that team will be able to win, and not individual self is ahead. Form a good team. The bond should be very good. If you feel that it's a very finance heavy, because these days, sir, there are particularly focused on crypto, maybe digital transformation cases are coming up, competitions are coming up. Like I mentioned, Amazon Smart Challenge is focused on ads and Google ads and this particular aspect of the things. If you feel that this person is good enough in that aspect, okay, have that person, but create a bond as well with that person, because that will be very helpful across the journey of your case competition. Second is, case competitions are, sir, the filtration criteria. First of all, is quiz, and it's a very high filtration criteria. The funnel actually gets dropped down very fast. So like if 10,000 teams are, or maybe 5,000 teams are participating, it'll come down to maybe in somewhere in some in 500s or 400s or 300s. It'll come down to that just because of the filtration which quiz made it do for the team. So and quiz usually in the aspect of the things are focused on 2 things. One is quickness, and the second one is accuracy. So we as students are always trained to be accurate, and these, like sharing you with an example, Amazon Ace is a very marquee event. Each year it happens. A lot of prizes, gifts, PPIs, PPOs that offer very good case competition. But the quiz will have a very general quants and verbal and reasoning questions. So even though you would be like, I'm very confident, I've done it in my CAT and my GMAT and GRE, but you would still require you to practice and go about it. And when sometimes let's say an option is given as 42.5 and your answer is coming like 42.4, you'll again go and solve that the question, and you'll be like, no, I want to be accurate. I would rather suggest that if you are 60-70% accurate, go for it, because quickness is also very important. And when 10,000 teams are participating, even a second will be very helpful for you if you are able to get past that. So quickness and accuracy should be balanced very well. And once you are through the quiz round, you will have a strategy round, like case submission round, and post that a presentation round might be there, might not be there. And so once you are creating a strategy for a case, solution is preparing up for your deck. Uh, when you are creating a deck, make sure that the slides have a story in their own self, because that will help you in two ways. If you are not presenting it to the present, like to the judges in the last round, because some cases might not have a presentation in their own self, it will help you tell what kind of perspective the team had when they were building out that cases, even when you are not present, and that judge is actually evaluating your deck. And if the presentation is there, presentation round is there, it'll make your life easier and smoother, because the story is in a way in your deck, and how you tell, how your communication skills come across will just be an add-on. So always have that layout in your deck, that okay, I'll start off with this. I'll tell out the market problem, market research. I'll do a survey. I'll tell my solution, and then maybe what is a GTM strategy, somewhere around that, or maybe how I would like to conclude. So somewhere around that, and maybe if you want anything around that, you can have a appendix to keep, and nobody will question you why you have an appendix. You can always explain that later on. So, and making a good plugin, refer to Havish sir's videos. They were very, very helpful in creating the roadmap and designing our presentation. Sir, if you give me an opportunity, I'd like to share one of my presentations with students.
Absolutely. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I'll share one of the, so these are all the case competitions I was going to share with the students who would like to have. One of the case is this. This is another IIT Delhi case competition, like I mentioned about the three people participated in. And you, sir, particularly, you will be able to see the aspects of what you have already taught to us in our classes, and we applied that completely in our case competition slides. So we had to, I'll just give a backdrop. The idea was to have to give a strategy around how which city should Formula E choose when they're coming to India to have their Formula E race. And we had to drill down and focus on one city. Why are we choosing it? We have to mention the reasons, and what is your idea behind, like I mentioned, the reasons, and mention that what will be your strategy, and to choose that and going about for that city, and what will be the financial aspect of choosing that city. We have to mention that in that slide. And the prize, like I mentioned, was if you get selected, if you get awarded as a top winner of this competition, you will be getting a chance to do an internship with Mahindra Racing. So start off with like mentioning what Formula E's idea is, what is their long-term strategy. This is the founder of Formula E. What they usually focus on, sustainability.
Hey, I'm not sure if your screen is. I can still see the folder. I cannot see the PowerPoint.
So sorry. I just stopped sharing the screen and share. Yeah. Now it should be visible.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I was mentioning that this was the case, and I'd given you about what actually the case wanted, and how we went ahead, and what actually we did. I'll share it with you. But the problem statement I've kind of already shared it with you. So if you see the first slide, this is a marquee slide which Havish sir actually teaches how to add a background, how to have a very distinctive heading to your case deck presentations. So we wanted to keep it very clear, but in a very fun and a quirky manner. So adding some curry spice to Formula E, and if you go over, but I'll make you go through all the slides, you will see what curry is actually is. So this was we started off with what the strategy was, how we went ahead and picked up a city we wanted ahead with, and what usually Formula E focuses on: sustainability, awareness, and growth. A pointer by the founder itself. Then what all is actually required when we are choosing a city for Formula E. like to have a race in a particular city. Like logistics are important, revenue awareness is important, government policies are important. And then we found out that okay, and Mandra is Mahindra's home. India already satisfies all of these, so we can eventually have a race in India. And how we go about and choosing a city comes about in this. We tell about that. See, Coimbatore has a certain kind of aspects, like maybe it's already an attractive demography, so you can get a good turn up of people. It's an EV hub, motors hub is already being created. Government is also focusing on that, and it's an ideal location in terms of environment, and sustainability factors also comes up across. And mentioning the policies, local corporations, air quality, we're focusing very heavy on sustainability. And if you see this is pointers, again the boxes are something which you taught. The numbers have to be highlighted in a very good manner. So this is something which usually comes up in case competitions, and students can actually use these strategy and the qualities to maybe highlight the numbers when they want in the format they want to go ahead. So this was the Curry Motor Sport Speedway, and it's a circuit already there in Coimbatore. So we went ahead with choosing this Curry because there were two major aspects. Because the financial cost will completely come down because there is already a circuit, so you never have to build one. And then there are already some pointers. It's a Formula 3 circuit. We can always upgrade and make it a Formula E by putting on some capital around that. So that's why the Curry word came up with. And then the strategy of Formula E, where all races are coming up, we mentioned that, see, you can always have a pit stop in Coimbatore, and something you can always start off with. So we created an image on that. And then the financial aspect around what all will be there. So adding a pointer, none of us, like all three of us mentioned in this slide, we were never very good in finance. So this is something we remunerated somewhere in the at 2 a.m. at the morning when we were making the deck, and that bulb just blew up for us, light up for us. That okay, we can build something around these pointers can be there, and we can create something around the financial aspect of the thing. So we gave a range, and it will be something around from 14 to 16 lakhs, and they were okay mentioning these particular numbers. And finally mentioning that what is the sustainability strategy you wanted us, how will you promote the sustainability strategy of Mahindra Racing and Formula E? So we mentioned few pointers. These are very generalistic, and so yeah, these were the which I usually like to go about in this strategy. So, but your videos are really helpful. The course is really helpful. Sharing one anecdote, I know I'm taking extra time, but this is very personal to me. I wanted to share. So when you came to our classes, you offered us analytics and then presentation. So you mentioned in your agenda that I'll be covering up these topics. Analytics could be Tableau, it could be somewhere around Excel, it could be R, depending on what you are going to teach. And then there is a PPT presentation aspect of around it. I think there are very major good number of classes for analytics in the starting, Excel, Tableau, and so many things. I was so excited and waiting only for the presentation one, that somewhere in the sense I was like, I just want to go ahead and for the presentation, because I'm already very excited to see what sir teaches us for presentation, and it was really helpful. And not only for my case competitions, there are good companies which come up in the campus. They ask you for a case submission, and you have to create a PPT, you have to create a deck that actually gets discussed in your interviews. Those presentation skills are really helpful for that aspect of placement as well. Then in our corporate, it's always helpful to create. Even if you are a product manager, sir, we usually do not require making that much amount of presentations, but still enhancing your presentation keeps you and gives you that amount of confidence that now it's looking nice, what I've already learned in my BSchool. So it's a very good like aspect to keep your presentation top notch in that sense. And the credit goes to you, sir, for making us go through that rigor of understanding, and a very good tool of UXX, the website which you always mention. The templates available are very good and attractive to go about it. So these are the few variations which I always tell the students to go about case competition. And on the top line, sir, I will always suggest students that keep a check on case competitions which are coming up. So as a student myself, I used to make a point that I will open up Unstop Dare to Compete, which is the premier website to see what all competitions are coming up on a daily basis. At least open once in a day to see what all case competitions are coming up, because these days competitions are like they give a highlight too soon, maybe a week prior to when they're going to launch the case competition. So you already have that mindset created that, okay, I'll be preparing for that. I have to keep that time extra. I'll not be available for all of the time next week. So I have to wrap up my work early on. So it helps you prepare in that sense. And always it helps you keep a check what all case competitions are coming. So always open case day to compete website once in a day at least to keep a check on what all case competitions are coming. It'll help you be abreast with what IMA is doing, what IMB is doing, and then the corporate case competitions will always be there.
Right. Excellent. That's very helpful. So we had a good chat. I think we covered a wide variety of different things. Um, so I hope everybody who listens to this pays a lot of attention to the mundane things. I think you mentioned that as well. It's very exciting to talk about the fancy stuff, but the
Yes,
truth is that when you're working, it's usually not fancy, right?
True, correct, sir. True.
It's the repetitive, mundane things that are important, right? And work doesn't always have to be exciting every single moment, right?
Correct, sir.
It has to create impact. You have to be able to communicate yourself to the stakeholder well. I think that is what matters more than making something sound flowery and fancy, right? So I hope everybody listens to it with the right attitude. And while a lot of these things might seem common sense, it's usually common sense that is lacking. So,
Yeah.
and that is true for all of us, right? Even when I do a course, I want to pick the most difficult, longest course without realizing that it's always quality, not quantity, right? So I think that is what I would like to end the conversation with. Thank you once again so much for joining in. I had a pleasure speaking with you. A lot of great points that came out, and I'm sure everybody will benefit immensely from this.
Thank you so much, Avi sir, for having me. Like I was mentioning you before we started off, it is an all-round experience for me. Like it's a full circle. I started off learning from you, executed that for case competitions and placements, and now I'm coming back to have a talk with you. So it's a full-blown circle for me. Thank you so much for having me, and you're doing a very good effort, creating videos, creating content for helping students, not only from IIMs but also from Tier 2 business schools. It's a gem. I request always students to go and learn. If sometimes we start off in our business schools, and usually your classes are in term zero as an add-on. But by the time case competitions and placements come, we kind of forget because a lot of things are happening in business school. I always suggest students that go on and see the videos which are there on Avishar's YouTube channel, and the decks are there. What all he's mentioning in his LinkedIn post, have a look at it. It'll really help you for your placements and even your beyond your journey in your career. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.